When people ask me what worries me most right now, they expect me to point to a single headline: a war, an election, a market crash. But the truth is more uncomfortable than that. What we are living through today is not a moment, it is a phase. And phases like this have happened many times before, always with consequences that most people fail to imagine while they are still living inside them. I have spent my life studying cycles. Not just market cycles, but death cycles, political cycles, and the rise and decline of world powers. What we are seeing now is the convergence of several major cycles reaching their turning points at the same time. That is rare, and when it happens, history does not whisper, it moves loudly. Let me say something that may sound shocking to some of you. The current global order is already breaking. It just has not fully collapsed yet. And the most dangerous moment in any system is the period when people still believe it will return to normal. Look at the debt. Look at the money creation. Look at the political polarization. Look at the military tensions. These are not isolated problems. They are symptoms of the same underlying condition, a system that has been stretched beyond its limits. For decades, we relied on the idea that economic growth could solve everything. If markets go up, if GDP grows, if asset prices rise, then social tensions will calm down. That belief worked for a long time. It is no longer working. Today, we are printing money at a pace that would have been unthinkable in previous generations. At the same time, we are seeing real living standards stagnate or decline for large portions of the population. That combination has always ended the same way throughout history. It destroys trust, and when trust is gone, rules stop working. Most people think inflation is the main problem. Inflation is not the disease, it is a symptom. The disease is the loss of discipline in how value is created and distributed. When governments promise more than they can sustainably deliver, they eventually pay for it by devaluing money, either directly or indirectly. Now let us talk about geopolitics, because this is where many people are deeply mistaken. We are not simply seeing conflicts between countries. We are seeing conflicts between systems. Different models of governance, economics, and power are colliding. And these collisions are not being resolved through dialogue. They are being postponed through force. What worries me is not just the possibility of war, but the normalization of escalation. When every side believes that backing down is weakness, the system becomes unstable. History shows that large conflicts rarely start because leaders want them. They start because leaders feel trapped. Energy and resources are at the center of this. Control over supply chains, energy routes, and strategic materials has become a weapon. When countries weaponize trade and finance, they accelerate fragmentation. And fragmentation reduces efficiency, growth, and cooperation. This brings me to something very few people are prepared for. The era of globalization as we knew it is over. That does not mean the world stops trading. It means the rules of trade are changing. Efficiency is no longer the top priority. Security is, and security is expensive. We are moving from a world optimized for low costs to a world optimized for resilience. That transition will not be smooth. It will feel like permanent crisis to those who grew up in the old system. Another uncomfortable truth is this: democracies are under enormous pressure, not just from external threats, but from internal contradictions. When expectations rise faster than outcomes, frustration grows. When frustration grows, polarization grows. And when polarization grows, compromise disappears. At that point, politics becomes less about solving problems and more about winning battles. History shows that when this happens, rational economic decision-making becomes secondary to emotional and ideological decisions. Markets do not like that. Societies do not survive it easily. Now, let me address the question everyone is really asking. What comes next? I do not believe we are heading toward a single dramatic collapse followed by a clean reset. That is a comforting fantasy. What usually happens instead is a long period of instability. Volatility becomes normal. Shocks become frequent. Planning becomes harder.